Hello, welcome. Mic check, we're here. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday.
Yes. Mandy is here. How was your weekend, Mandy? What happened? What's going on?
Amani, I have two thoughts to share with you. I had a great weekend. So the first one was I was in Santa Barbara on Thursday and Friday. The Visit Santa Barbara, the tourism authority, hired me to do a sales coaching for all of their hotels. And I tried out some new material. So, in speaking, we get stale and we kind of switch it up. So I tried out some new material. I tried out the trifecta, which was how to be irresistible with customers by prioritizing personalization, how to have fun with follow-up, which I love some unique follow-up. And then the last one is social selling, the power is in your pocket. And it's a lot to cram into a 90-minute session. And it was awesome. It was probably one of the best group coachings I've done in a really, really long time. And the people were kind and the energy was great. And so I'm coming off of a really high on that after that weekend. So that was super fun. And then my Browns won yesterday. Cleveland beat Pittsburgh Steelers.
And yes, you're like 7-3. The first time in like decades that you're 7-3.
Listen, my husband and I are normally crying in our cereal this time every year. And his team won. His Dolphins won yesterday. And my team won. So Graziano's went to bed winners last night. It was a big weekend for us.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my team pooped the bed again. It's very frustrating and depressing. So, But anyways.
Yeah. Wait, how was your weekend and how's your continued move-in process? Like, how are you getting acclimated?
So the weekend was good. What did I do this weekend here? I didn't do much. It was F1 in Las Vegas, so it was pretty hectic downtown. So I was just continuing like unpack bags. We have like repair people here. Like today, if we hear any drilling, that's my one thing right now. The bed got delivered today, so that was good. What did I do? I had a long day on Friday because I was in San Diego and I was doing training as well with our good friend Vaughn. And so we were training at C3 Insurance. And so that was pretty much all morning and early afternoon. Then driving back was a long drive. So I was pretty pooped.
Yeah. What were you training them on? What was your
conflict resolution? Conflict resolution. Yes. So that was like, because every time like I'll partner with her and we'll do like a segment and I like people come in and we kind of lower the apprehension. I give them DJ names. We talk about walk-up songs. Then we add in some conflict resolution into that. They use Legos to play. They all had to make a presentation using music. Some people did like the theme to Thriller. It was very interesting. It was cool. It was funny.
I want to take one of those classes sometime, Amani. Sign me up. That sounds fun.
We'll get you signed up. We could even do one together with your sales training too, which I meant to ask you about.
Yeah. Let's collab. Let the
Yes,
kids
for
say,
sure.
let's collab. That sounds fun.
Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
All right. So that's the weekend. I think we should get to our guest today. What do you think?
Let's get to it. Yeah. We got a good one. We got a great one today.
Yes, we do. But first, let me think here. I have to do one thing here. I forgot to do something here. So let me do one thing while we're working here. Where's my little ping thing here? Hold on. Where's ping? I got to get my ping here.
This is fun.
Now, while we're doing that, talk to us, Mandy, about why you're so excited for our guest today.
Ooh. Well, I have been a member of MPI for about 23 years, and it's such an important organization. And to have somebody from their marketing team on our show, I think is awesome. But, I did some professional stalking on Drew over the weekend, and he's got a really rad background with advertising and marketing and a very client base and some really interesting philosophies on consistency. So I'm excited just to hear everything he has to say. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. So we bring Drew to the stage. So there's Drew. Let's give Drew some round of applause. We'll give Drew a round of applause. I don't have my little thingy with me, but we'll give you some applause there. My stream deck is
I'll
downstairs.
imagine the applause.
You'll imagine it.
I've heard them so many
Yeah.
times I can imagine it. Really.
Okay. Perfect.
Not
Perfect.
for
So
me,
we-
for other people, but it's fine.
you don't need applause. Okay, so we welcome Drew to the stage. And since backstage we were talking about a little bit of UT because Drew, you're a graduate at University of Texas. Hook 'em horns, right? That's what we do here, right? There we go. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, double.
So-
double
We
hook
go
'em.
serious. We go serious.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
there during the Vince Young era, correct?
Oh yeah. Live and in person.
Okay. When you think about your time at UT, what is the fondest memory that comes up?
I mean, that one, okay, I was graduated in 2005 when we beat USC in the national championship. So post graduation, that's easily been the best memory that I had of being a UT grad. During my time at Texas, boy, best thing that I remember. You know what? It was. I keep going to football, but I was there when Ricky Williams broke the record for all time rushing.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
so Ricky, we're playing Texas A&M, which at the time was our biggest rival. And now that we're going to SEC, there'll be a rival again, which is cool. But I just remember, and I'm sitting in probably the worst seat you could possibly sit, east side of the stadium, the top row, and it legitimately feels like if I just leaned forward, I'd start toppling down. And Ricky breaks that 70 some odd yard touchdown, dives in the end zone to score. We beat Texas A&M. I mean, awesome moment.
Okay.
To be in that stadium during
Yeah, that was
that,
cool.
it's
I should probably say graduating was the best moment, but no, seeing Ricky break the record.
Yes.
All
right, and then-
that's fine, but no, Ricky breaking the record was pretty cool.
Okay.
Mm.
And then my follow-up to that is that if you were to look back and just when you think back to when you were graduating, what was like the job that you really wanted? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you graduated? And then we want to compare it to kind of how your career has transformed till now.
Yeah, so I really I had an internship in college at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I got a lot of exposure to their management consultants and stuff, and I got to see what they would do working with clients, and I really dug that. Like I thought it was really cool, and so I actually interviewed for a position within PricewaterhouseCoopers coming out of college, but it wasn't for a consulting position. It was for basically like a presentation maker. So I would be making the presentations that the consultants would go give. So I was like, yeah, no, that's really not it. But I really wanted to have that kind of consultative, strategic type gig. And so I eventually made my way into the advertising agency space. And that's what I did in the agency space for clients for 17 years. And so, I mean, that is ultimately what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a strategic driver. Did that for 17 years at agencies. And now I kind of own the strategy now at MPI. So I've been able to do what I wanted to do. It just kind of took me a little bit of a diversion of track to get there.
Okay. All right. We got to shout out Corbin Bravo in the chat. Thank you. Loves a new office space. And Heather Cox is with us in the chat. If you're there in the audience and you're lurking, but you want to ask a question, just type in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you're residing. Over to I know Mandy's bubbling with some questions, so over to Mandy.
I'm bubbling. I'm bubbling. Well, Drew, so I do have a couple questions, but just for the audience that's listening or watching, can you share your title with
Yeah.
MPI, what MPI is, and what your role is there?
Yeah, sure. So first, Mandy, I overheard you saying you've been a member at MPI for 23 years, and that's, I mean, for you to have joined when you were 6 years old, that's outstanding. So
Oh, aren't
thank you
you
for doing
cute
that.
and sweet? Hook 'em horns.
Looking forward. I've got an eternal 29-year-old that I'm married to, so I always round to 29-year-old.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
29 is my favorite number, so thank you. I
See,
appreciate
there we
that.
go. There we
There
go.
we go.
So I am Chief Brand Officer here at MPI. I've been at MPI for 6 years. So my role here, I started at MPI as Senior Director of Marketing and Communications, and my role kind of expanded over the years. And about a year and a half ago, we did a pretty significant restructure and did some kind of modular moving of different departments and stuff. And so I handle marketing, creative chapters, events, media, and marketing chat. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So it's six of them. So I always I get them out of order sometimes.
We
So,
can count. We can use our figures. So did you get them all? Did you get them all? Did
but
you get them all?
essentially, it's everything that is kind of the outward face of the brand. So these are all of the how the MPI brand is expressed in reality. These are the 6 different business units that really bring the brand to life. I've got a awesome team of 20 people who are spread across those 6 different business units, and everybody just lives and breathes that brand. And so, Mandy, the question you asked, if you're not familiar with Meeting Professionals International, we're the world's largest association for event professionals. So, event professionals is a pretty broad term. It can be anybody from a logistics event planner to a supplier who may work within the audiovisual side of production at an event. It's Amani who does interviews at events and does DJing at events. It's Mandy. It's you speaking at events. I mean, certainly we've got a ton of speakers within our with our portfolio of members. But the main thing that we focus on for each of these event professionals is professional development. And professional development comes in 2 different forms. One is education, which is critical, especially now as technology continues to advance and this industry spins on its head constantly. You've got to upskill, reskill. You've got to make sure that you're fresh and current. So we're really, really good at that. We're also extremely good at professional development in terms of connections. So we want to make sure that you're not isolated in your endeavor to advance your career. We want you to meet like-minded people. We want you to have peer-to-peer connections. Locally, we've got 67 chapters around the world, 12,000 members. So locally you can connect and globally you can connect. And some of the best stories that I hear from our membership are those individuals who have expanded their network internationally and gotten to know people in Africa, in Japan, in Alaska, you name it. I mean, we've got members absolutely everywhere. So I love those stories of connection that take place, because truly, when you become a connected, educated individual, you round yourself into, the right person for the career that you want to get. So that's kind of what MPI does. And our tagline, and we're really firm in this as a belief, is that when we meet, we change the world. And over the course of that 3-year span where we couldn't meet, I think it was real obvious that that tagline is not just a motto, but I mean, it's a flag you can fly, because the world does change when meetings happen. And fortunately we are back doing that again. So it's a good thing. But yeah, that's kind of a nutshell of what MPI is all about.
Well, thank you for that explanation. And thank you for your service. As a speaker and a meeting planner, I think they call me a supplanner or something like
Yep.
that.
Planner, that's
I,
right.
I know what you do isn't easy. I know you have a lot of people to service in all areas. So just thank you for your service and thank you for that explanation. So
Yeah.
now I want to just take a little turn for a second and just ask about you. So tell me, what is brutal consistency?
Yeah, brutal consistency. So this is something that I learned. Really, it's been throughout my career, but I think I really started focusing on it more in the last agency job that I had before I came to MPI. And I think it was because of the different portfolio of clients that I had. You mentioned earlier that I've got a very vast array of different type of clients. I mean, I've
Yeah.
worked on everything from 7-Eleven to Bell Helicopter to Mattress Firm to Austin Convention and Visitors Bureau, of just the Hilton. I mean, I've kind of been all over the place. Texas A&M, oddly enough. So I've kind of been all over the place. And what I've learned is that brutal consistency is what sets your brand apart. Okay, and there's two ways to kind of look at your brand, right? There's the brand of the company that you work for, and then there's your personal brand, and both are equally as important. So if you've got a client whose brand you're doing an event activation for, or you're doing marketing or creative for, you always want to find whatever that nugget is that makes the product itself or the brand different. You want to take that and you want to exploit the hell out of it and be consistent with it, and don't veer away from it. Now, true good brands, I'll give you a good brand example in a second, but true good brand finds what's important to them, maintains it, keeps it, and adapts it over time, but keeps that nugget consistent. So that is a constant thread. So the example I'll give you, it's my favorite brand, and it's one of my favorite candy bars, and I like sweets a lot. It's Snickers. Okay, I'm gonna get the year wrong, but Snickers came out in, call it 1925, something like that. Okay, and when Snickers came around, it was right around the Great Depression time. So what Snickers did is they created a bar that was like a nickel, and so people could eat it, and it was a full meal. It had chocolate, so it had dairy. It had peanuts, so it had protein. It had caramel, so it had plenty of sugar. It had nougat. Nobody knows what the hell nougat is, but it had nougat in there.
Still.
Nougat's kind of its own food group. So it's got all of
Right.
it in there. And if you look back at their old advertising, it would say, Snickers will satisfy you. It satisfies your meals. Okay. So fast forward to now and look at what they've consistently done with that consistency in that brand. Snickers satisfies you. Some of the best ads that they have now is, you're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies you. One of my favorite commercials of all time is that Betty White commercial where she's playing flag football or tackle football with her friends out in the mud, and clearly it's not really her, it's another dude, and he's just kind of being whiny, and Betty White plays it perfectly. And at the end, the Betty White turns into the dude who just needed a Snickers, and now he's him again. So it satisfies you. That brutal consistency, it just sticks with you. So that's key. And so that's kind of the client or the product side. The personal side, that brutal consistency applies there too. Understand who you are, understand what you stand for, and stay consistent with that. Don't stray away. Don't try and be somebody else. You should always be you. Be proud of what you are, be consistent with what you are, and let that always shine through no matter what you do. So, that brutal consistency fits on both sides.
I love that, because we talk about consistency, especially in social selling, right? And we talk about consistency all the time, but adding that oomph of brutal consistency, it really shows the value of that and the importance of. So I appreciate you adding. I've listened to a couple interviews and seen you be quoted on a couple things where you're like, no, it is brutal consistency. So I appreciate you really emphasizing that.
Yep. Yeah.
If we could kind of stay on this pathway, and you mentioned personal branding. So, and you talk to and work with tons, like hundreds, thousands of people and their personal brands. What are some of the best practices you see for personal branding, and maybe tips for people who want to improve their personal branding?
Yeah, well, the going back to brutal consistency, that's going to be the consistent tip, is to make sure that you find what you're interested in, what you're an expert about, and just stay focused there. But then as changes might happen around that topic or that specialty, in Mandy's case, social selling, find your ways to adapt. I think that's one of the best tips that I can give, is that stay current and allow yourself to adapt. Keep that personal brand consistent, but make it adaptable. Don't have your feet completely stuck in the mud. One of the things that I always tell people is you can't anticipate the change. You don't have any idea what it's going to be. change is the constant in life. There's a few things. Change is the one that I'll mention. I mean, that is the constant in life. And you got to be able to kind of widen your stance. You got to be able to be prepared and for the change up or the curveball that's going to come your way, but you just don't know when it's going to happen. So be flexible, be consistent, be adaptable. Those would be the tips that I would give.
Okay. And then because Bandy and you talked about like your ad agency experience, what are some of the skills that you really acquired and honed during your ad agency days that you still use on a daily basis in our current era?
Yeah, for sure. So I think being personable is one that's key. Being a good listener is critical. I always I'm a talker, so I mean, you can pretty much just wind me up and let me go, and I'll start talking. And I've learned over time, especially from my agency days, that man, a lot of times, especially as a marketer, you're kind of a psychologist, and you've got a virtual couch that you just need to let people sit on sometimes. And
I
a
like
lot of
that.
the times, a client or a colleague or whoever in your network, they might just need to talk something through. And this is good. I mean, this is great personal advice too. Just be a good listener and allow somebody to express what they need. Try not to interrupt them. Try not to just immediately force out solutions, because what you want is you want to understand the need. You want to understand the basic desire. You want to understand all of those basics of objectives and goals and key performance indicators and all that stuff. You need to hear those out, and then take a pause, and come back with a solution. Don't rush to decisions. I think early on in my career, I was very much of a, oh, this is what you need. Okay, we'll just go do this. And there wasn't enough thought. I had a director back in the day tell me I didn't put enough thought into my creative briefs. So as an ad agency guy, and I've brought this forward to MPI, and anywhere that I go in my career, I'm going to require that the marketing team works with briefs. So your creative or marketing brief, yes, between 5 and 7 pretty simple questions. But when you can formulate answers to those questions, you can build out a smart strategy. But you can't take those answers for granted, and you can't just make it a checkbox. Your brief should always be very well thought through, so that your solution and your strategy can be well thought through. So I think those are some of those things that I really learned that I have brought forward, and I'll continue to advance forward. Being personable, listening, and just really getting all of the understanding there, so you can build out a formulated strategy.
Interesting. Okay, I like it. Mandy, over to you. I know you got more percolating over there.
Percolating, always percolating. Well, I appreciate what you said about the virtual couch. I hadn't heard that before. I have this in my office. Listen so hard you hear beyond the conversation.
Yeah.
This is taped up to my wall. I'm looking at it, and I do think in sales and marketing we forget to listen, whether it's active listening or whether listening in a different way, just you're observing or paying attention or keeping your antenna up. So I appreciate you bringing that out. You talk a lot about strategy. So what are a couple key strategies that are true to Drew, where no matter wherever you go in life, whether it's your next gig, MPI, or your previous gigs, what are something that people can say, that's Drew, that's a Drew strategy?
Yeah. So one of them that I always put there is what I call business empathy. Okay. Business empathy means, and it goes back to listening, understanding whoever is on the other side of the table for you. Okay. Always understanding whether it's your client, in my case, your target audience, which is our membership and our community in general, understand their need. So once you have that empathy towards what your client needs or what your target needs, then you can understand what to deliver them and how. So business empathy, I think, is huge. The other thing is positivity. So there's so much damn negativity that we're all dealing with, whether it's political, sports. Amani, Chargers, is that what you struggled with yesterday?
The Washington Commanders. I'm just so disturbed.
Giants, Amani.
Oh, I'm so disturbed. I'm so angry.
That one does hurt. Yeah, that one hurts.
Oh, Monty.
But it's
Sorry.
but there's so many things that we are personally, professionally having to deal with, and you can just get mired down in negativity. And there's an ad agency out there called 72 and Sunny. I love the work that they put out. They're a scrappy agency. They were a scrappy agency. Now they're pretty good size. But their big claim to fame back in the day is they were a small creative shop, and they ended up winning the creative assignment for Burger King for against all of the other big holding company agencies. Right. The way that they did that, 72 and Sunny, because they focus on positivity. I tell you, I cringe anytime I see a marketing message that has a can't or a won't or a not or anything negative in it, even if it's a tagline. I'm going to go back to MPI's tagline. When we meet, we change the world. It's so uplifting, positive, and aspirational and inspirational. So I try and communicate with my teams, let's err on the side of positivity. Let's find the positive path, because as long as you keep people's mindset in the positive, then they'll focus away from the negative, because the negative is just detractors. So that's a personal and professional strategy that I really try and pull forward. It's just brutal consistency, is my brutal positivity, just keeping everything positive. And, in the working space too, I think if you asked my team members and those who work with me, I think they'll tell you that, that positivity leads to calm, because event planners especially have one of the most challenging jobs in the world. I think it ranks right after first responders. It's like the top 5 most challenging job.
Yeah.
And so they are just being hit left and right with waymakers. And I mean, if you can stay positive and find the right solution, it keeps everybody above board and keeps them pushing to the right place. And it tampers down on that sense of just crisis. And you want to keep people out of crisis mode. You want to focus on the positive and stay calm.
A mindset's everything. Yeah.
If I could follow up, Mandy, because I love what Drew said. When you meet someone who has like a negative attitude or just can't get the proper mindset, do you have any books you recommend, people they should go listen to? Like, how do you help someone who's got that mindset that just so stuck, they're just stuck in a negative world? What can you do? Or how have you helped people like that in the past?
It's a lot of just conversations, Imani. I don't necessarily have I don't read a whole lot of self-help books. I read really cheesy books that are, oddly enough, they're about like apocalypse and stuff like that. I don't know why, but I dig apocalyptic books.
You and my husband, you need to go on a road trip. Yeah, we got a lot of alien stuff over here.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily have any of that, but I just if I talk to somebody who's in a negative headspace, I just try and have a conversation with them again, listen, have that empathy on what's going on, and look, man, at my time at MPI, and just kind of as I continue to have the opportunity to manage and work with more people and more personalities, that negativity is there. It's persistent, and having conversations and just talking people through, okay, well, what's happening? Okay, I get that this is a challenge. Let's find our way through the challenge, and how can we get through that? So it's just trying to find that positive ray of sunlight that can just pierce the negative and help them forward.
I see. Now, are you a fan of Mad Men, the TV show?
Oh yeah. I watched it all the way through.
All right. How accurate was Mad Men, and what are some lessons we can take from Mad Men to apply to our daily work lives?
So it was, look, I was in the ad agency world from like 2000 to 2017 or so. That was a very different world than like the 60s and 70s. There was a lot of beer drinking, not as much whiskey on my side. There, and we were a little bit more calm in the 2000s. We'll just put it that way. But my first job in the agency world was at McCann Erickson, which McCann Erickson was the agency that they were. God dang it! What was the name of their shop? I totally forgot now. But anyway, it was the agency that they were kind of bidding against and starting to beat and stuff. So I thought that was cool. And McCann I mean, some of the lessons that you can take from Mad Men, look, I think it kind of goes back to remaining calm because especially Don Draper, that dude was the essence of calm. And he had a lot of self-inflicted stuff that he put himself through, but boy, he kept getting waymakers too, and he was having to field them left and right, and that dude was calm. Now a lot of that was whiskey fueled calm, but it was still he was still calm. I would say that the agency space, much like the event planner space, I mean, you're getting waylaid a lot. It's very challenging. There's a reason that I kind of diverted from it, at least for now, because it's definitely a dog eat dog space, and
Mm.
it's there is plenty of backstabbing that goes on. It's heavily competitive, and I think you see a lot of that in Mad Men as well. That competition and that not afraid to kick you in the back so that I can step right over you. That's fairly true. That's fairly true. It's not overly persistent, but it definitely does happen. I mean, it happened to me multiple times, and again,
Mhm.
I kind of would deal with those situations and just move on from them, and typically move away from that person. So
Got it.
What do you think for meeting planners right now? Who's doing it well, and what is room for growth? Like, what opportunities are ahead of us that when we think about our conferences and how to promote our
mm,
conferences, when we think about the personal brand and identity
mm.
of a conference, who's out there doing it well? And if you don't want to say who, what tactics are out there that are well? And then what can we do? There's a big runway. And I know our industry tends to be a little analog, and we use abacuses and we like to do what we always have done before. But I know that you see and you promote things that are a little bit ahead of the curve. So who's
Yeah.
doing it, and what would you like to see more of from a meeting planner standpoint?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to call out my team because I think my team is doing it exceptionally well.
Awesome.
I've got a three-person event planning team: Melinda Burdett, Tanya Filiaw, and Emily Parsons, and they absolutely kick ass. I mean, Amani saw it. Amani saw the sausage being made right in front of him in Mexico this past year.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
more than he wanted to see.
It was great though. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. It ended up being great. And again, that was the calm. I mean, that team is just their feet are going crazy underneath the water, but they are nice and calm on top. So I think this team does it exceptionally well. What they do really really well, and I think all event planners can do, is they pay attention to their audience needs and they do things that are different. Um, we like to say that at our World Education Congress specifically, we take risks so you don't have to. We take very calculated risks to change things up. And what I'll tell you a little bit of the veil being pulled aside is that at each of our events, about 80% of it is pretty much similar. There's education, there's networking, there's hosted buyer, there's evening events, etc. But it's at 20% because if you break that 80% too much, then it can become chaotic.
Mhm.
But it's that 20% that colors it, that does it different from year to year, that really sticks with your attendees. And that's what I would say we are very good at, and most event planners should try and focus on. Don't reinvent the wheel each time. Find that little difference, that 20% difference that can make the event, that experience, exceptionally different year over year and versus your competition. And the second thing I would say, and you're going to see more of this in Louisville this next year in May, is personalization. So we have so much technology now, especially through the advantage or the advances being made through AI, that allow us to take what Mandy and Amani want. And before you even try and force some insights on us or let us get to know you, we already know about you, and we can feed you the content that you want for our event. So now we're essentially making your event for you. And that personalization. We can do it from the first marketing message that goes out to you, to the first time you hit our website, to the communication in between registration and showing up on site, and then on site. We can connect all of those pieces all the way across and make it all about that. That is I mean, if you want to take it outside of event planning, an event and experience is part of your marketing strategy, right? All marketing can be fully customized now down to the individual. And that's what people want. People don't have time anymore. I was driving home from my parents' house today, and I was thinking about this, and I asked my wife, what percentage of people are on their phones while they're driving right now? Because people don't have time. People don't have time. So people are constant multitaskers, and the reality is humans cannot multitask. Our brains can't handle that.
Right.
So take one of those tasks away and let's customize stuff. Everybody wants it now. They want it faster. They want it about themselves. And that's what events can really start to do, is to plug that gap. And I think our team does it very, very well.
I love that. I love prioritizing personalization. Now, I'm gonna speaking of personalization, I want to ask a personal question. What is one hip hop song you know all the words to? Because I know you like hip hop.
Let's see. Gin and Juice, I can do all the way front to back.
Yeah, you can. I see some karaoke.
Pretty much, if you just take anything from Dre and Snoop and Ice Cube and NWA, I can pretty much get all of them front to back.
Wow. Okay. All right. Awesome. West Coast hip hop.
Well, hey, that's one of my top Spotify playlists. Is I love West Coast hip hop.
That was our wedding playlist. That was I relinquished control of the wedding songs, and it was all West Coast 90s hip hop.
Hey, my mother-in-law, she had one rule. She said, Drew cannot have hip hop during the reception. And you know what we had during the reception? We had hip hop. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
my husband wouldn't do a reception without hip hop.
No.
So
My wife said, absolutely, we're having hip hop. In fact, the Garter song was 21 Questions by. And I remember that was the first hip hop song that played, and I immediately looked over at my mother-in-law, and she was just giving me the shaking her head. I was like, that's what it is. Again, I'm being true to my brand. So
this is who I am. This is who I am.
All the way around circle, full circle.
Wow. What was the first dance song?
"Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra.
Okay, so you bounced it out. Yeah,
bounced it out. Yeah, we had like Pat Green. We had some country. I mean, look, we're both Texans, so we had some country in there. We had some, Frank Sinatra and some hip hop and stuff. So
I love it. That's good. We love diversity. Yeah. Now, when we talk about trends in the meetings and events industry, what are, maybe 2 or 3 trends that really excite you that you're looking forward to seeing where they take our industry?
Yeah. I think the one that's most interesting right now is if you look back at 2020 and you look now, there was a study that was done by Freeman, and this was about a year ago. So the number might be bigger now. Over the course of that 3-year span, we had 60% turnover in the event professionals. So what that means, well, there's 2 things. 60% turnover. So you've just got a whole new crop of people coming into this industry because sadly, a lot of people just had to bail on it. And the average age of an event professional dropped by 10 years. So what you're seeing these are 2 massive shifts in the event industry. And so I'm interested to see what that means in terms of the professionals who are now leading this community. And Amani, I see it just within our MPI membership alone. I mean, we are adding new members at a clip that's unimaginable.
Really?
Now the counter to that is we're keeping our members at a modest clip, but we're outgrowing that renewal at a rate that's it's phenomenal. Like I could not have. I looked at all the trends. Again, membership is part of the groups that I deal with, and I looked at all of those trends coming into 2023 and looked at them again going into 2024. And I mean, we're 30% over in terms of new members based on what I projected. And I was relatively aggressive. So I think you're seeing an influx of new talent, new energy, new perspectives coming into the event planning industry or the event industry. So I'm going to be interested to see what that does. I think it's also going to be interesting to see in terms of organizations like MPI and IAAE and PCMA and others, like what that means in terms of these new people who might not be familiar with the association space because they're they may have gotten their degree, they may have started, gotten into this industry, but they might not necessarily know, okay, well, what does an association do for me? Like, why should I be a part of it? So there's a re-education that's taking place there too. And I mean, we see it at WEC, we see it at EMEC, we see it at the event, we see it at all of the places where we show up. There's a lot of new blood and new people, which is fantastic. I mean, sometimes you need a little bit of a fresh start, and I think this industry is going to benefit from it.
Interesting. Okay. Now we've come to the point in the show where we kind of flip the script and we let you ask me or Mandy any question you like. You can ask us the same question, a different question, and we answer it. So who do you want to ask the question to first?
I'm going to go at Mandy first.
Hey, bring it up.
All right, because you do a lot of speaking and sales strategy and stuff like that, I'm especially interested in this. And Imani, I think you can weigh into this as well. So, one of the big trends that obviously we're seeing in all industries, just on this planet, is AI, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of fear around it. I know I use it daily basis. I use it a lot for content and things like that. I'm interested to hear, Mandy, how you might use it in your space and where you see it going for this particular industry.
Yeah, I'm a friend of AI. I'm not a foe. I am not afraid of it. In fact, I have a thing where I say, if I hear you talking bad about AI, my first question is have you ever used it? Uh-huh. Because most times people say, oh, it's going to replace jobs and all this fear-based stuff. And I live in abundance. I do not live in fear. So when I hear somebody saying that, my first question is when was the last time you used it? And 95% of the time, it's like, I haven't. I'm like, okay, try it. Try a couple prompts. And then come back and let's chat about it. But in my business, so, it's a split, right? So in sales, when I'm doing sales coaching and in leading teams, right, helping teams, a great salesperson is a good listener, but they're also an awesome time manager. Mm-hmm. And we need to find ways to capture efficiency. And I think if you use AI in the right way, it can make you very efficient. It can help you write when you send out your marketing newsletters, it can help you write that newsletter. If you're coming up with a subject line for a prospect that won't get back to you, it can help you with the subject line. It can help you, there's a stat out there that is like 66% of business that's closed happens after the 5th follow-up, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to follow up, you can't just send 5 checking in emails. You've got to vary that follow-up, and AI is a great way to help you with that. So I think in the sales process, I think we use it. I believe in using it in efficiency. That's what I use it with. And then in the meeting planning process, I encourage my customers when they are comparing 2 hotels. I know a lot of data. I know about a lot of hotels. HPN, our system is very intelligent, but there is also a lot of great comparison data out there by using AI. So plug in the Fairmont Grand Del Mar and ask, hey, compare this to the Lodge at Torrey Pines. And it may give you some things that aggregate some data you may not have known, right? It may compare the golf courses. It may compare the size of the hotel. So I think when you're comparing, when you're a buyer in that buying mode, picking a hotel, picking a venue, use AI in the buying and the comparison process. It's not going to replace, people that do my job that source hotels be like, that's going to replace you. It's never going to replace us. It's just, and it augments what you do, and it actually helps you be more efficient. So I'm a big fan of using it for efficiency. But I will say this: if I get one more email that says unlock or unleash, like the story's over with unlock and unleash, people. Yeah. Like we got to play with the prompts a little more and feed it a little more food. And that was awesome last year. But let's feed it the prompts a couple more food. Words, a little more word salad, a little more ingredients to that word salad, so we could get rid of unlock and unleash. Yeah,
that's the thing, man. I you're right. Like I see it as it's a complementary tool. It supplements what we do. So one of my and so Mandy, if I ask somebody, and I'm actually going to be at IBTM speaking there in Barcelona next week, and I'm doing a session on AI. Mm-hmm. If you ask somebody if they've ever used AI before and they say no, they're lying to you because they didn't know what they've been doing that's been AI integrated for probably 10, 12 years.
That's right. Yeah, they're a product of AI in some way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody is. So, so yeah, that's interesting. I did in Frankfurt at IMEX this past May. I did a unplanned. Oh, I did a session that was planned about AI, but I didn't plan it. I purposefully went up there, and I asked ChatGPT, "What are 10 trends in the event planning industry right now?" And I did it in front of this was my session. I just plugged my laptop into a monitor and I ran a chat. And I said,
I love this.
put together a PowerPoint presentation about the top 10 trends in event planning right now. And so it put together the PowerPoint presentation, and I went through it with the audience. And at the end of it, I agreed and disagreed with some, because I said, look, I'm going to show you guys how this works, and I'm going to show you why the human element is still critically important. And at the end of it, I asked the audience, I said, what's the one thing that was missing in their top 10 trends? And I got crickets out there, and I said, it didn't mention AI. So ChatGPT, when I asked it, what are the
ironic?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if that scares me or if that just means we're still, significantly smarter and validates humans. But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Well, I think it's really cool too. And I think it's one of those things where people have to remember we're humans, and humans lie, and we're flawed. And mostly we don't lie out of bad intentions. We lie out of misinformation, or we're flawed.
Right.
And so the internet is a whole bunch of information that's developed by humans, right? So if AI is aggregating data from the internet, there is going to be a whole bunch of good stuff, and there's going to be a whole bunch of bad stuff. But I think it's up to the humans to decipher how we use that. And it's up to the humans to decipher, we use this for the good. We scrap the stuff that doesn't make sense. But like you said, the AI tool didn't say AI, which could be a huge tool for event, but it's up to us. Yeah, it's hilarious. What an interesting point.
Yeah.
All right, Monty.
Over.
You want to answer the same question? You ask me a different one.
Let's go a different one. Unless you got any insights you want to throw.
Mandy covered pretty much anything, I would say. So I used AI. I'm writing my second book, so I use it to do a lot of the research, and that's what I did. They put it into my own words and things like that. That's the main use I've done with it. So I know people are a little concerned, with these fake songs and things like that. But I think that there's nothing like a human singing a song live in person. That just can't be replicated. So I just view it as a tool instead of a replacement.
Although I will say that Drake The Weeknd song was pretty fantastic.
It was close. The Ariana Grande one was good too, but still, yes.
All right, so I'm gonna take a different pitch and go to a question that Mandy asked me. So what's one song, any genre, that you would want to karaoke in front of everybody, that you could turn the monitor off, no lyrics up there? This would be your one song.
Ooh, I have two. I'll say Paid in Full, Eric B. and Rakim.
Oh, that's good.
I can get through the first. I can pretty much get through. I have to practice, but I can do that.
The palm inside your sweat, or nothing but sweat inside your palm.
Yeah, that one. Another one that comes to mind is Go See the Doctor, Kumo D. I used to know that song backwards and forward. Yeah.
That's way back.
Way back there. And then a current song, those are tougher for me. I forget the duet with LL Cool J and Jennifer Lopez. I think it's All I Give or All I Love. That's when I could do also both parts.
Okay. So now you have to perform all three of those songs.
We're ready, Monty.
You're ready. Okay. All right. So as we kind of come to a closing interview, there's two kind of little questions I have, and then Manny has some follow-up to. The first one for you would be, if you could go back to when you graduated from UT and give younger Drew advice based on everything you've experienced and where you are today, what advice would you give your younger self?
Go buy stock in Alphabet, Google, so you can become a millionaire and retire really, really early. You know what? It would go back to positivity. I think that kind of solves everything. Coming out of college, man, especially coming out of school, I graduated I was a December grad. I had a little bonus semester there for myself, and it took me a few months to find a job, and that was hard. I mean, that was really hard. So I would say, man, positivity is going to be your jam, and you need to stick with that. Don't worry about the bumps that get in the way. Just be smart, be confident in yourself, and be positive, and see your way through. I mean, look, nothing comes easy. If
Right.
it does come easy to you, then you're probably doing it wrong.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
and you gotta, if you can stay positive and believe in yourself, you'll get through the things that are challenging. And look, man, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of fantastic mentors throughout my career. I've got a great one now in Paul Vandevent, our CEO.
Mm.
Um, so um, trust in yourself, be positive, and just push your way through.
Okay. We like it. And now we like to do a little word association. We get a little Jay Shetty on. So I'm going to say some words. Tell us the first word or phrase that comes to mind.
Okay.
University of Texas.
Champions.
You see how you lit up, Eddie?
Oh,
Okay.
you did light up.
You lit up.
I
Yes.
mean, it's
Yeah.
been a while, but still, yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you've said that because it's been a long while. So
You'll get there. You'll get there again.
another one, San Antonio Spurs.
Man, I would say champions again. I mean, well, okay, I'll say Wimby.
Okay. Oh, yes. You got the new guy there. That's next one, creativity.
Requirement.
7-Eleven.
Always open.
Dr. Dre.
The Chronic. Not that, because that's the album that came to my mind. That's the album that came to my mind.
Fine. Listen,
right.
I live in California, Drew. It's fine. It's fine.
Right. And then the final two before I go to Mandy is, what's the best advice you've been given or heard?
Let's see. Best advice I've been given or heard. So I had one of the agencies where I worked. I had the president of the agency, a guy named Tom Hansen, a legend in the agency business. He said the simplest solutions are always the best. And I'd loved going to that guy and talking through solutions with him, because, man, we would always say, if you go to Tom, he can find that direct line between 2 points. And it's always the simplest way to get there. Just don't overthink it. Loved and still love talking to that guy because he could just find those simple solutions.
Love it. And then what's the worst advice you've been given or heard?
Worst advice. You don't cuss enough. I had a girl back in the day tell me, Drew, you really don't cuss enough. You need to cuss more. I'm like, I cuss plenty, A, and B, what? No, that's dumb. I mean, no, I'm not going to cuss more. Golly.
I love it. Okay.
Like, to me, that was like, I said, look, that breeds negativity when you just start throwing, F-bombs and stuff up. I'm like, no, it's not. That's pointless. It's pointless.
Yeah.
Also, if it's not natural for you, people know that if you're just dropping an F-bomb to be cool, like, it just feels cringy when people do that.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Mandy, bring us home here. Thank you.
I know. Well, I want to know, Drew, I want to know what you're working on as a human being. Like, I know for the entire interview today, something new I'm working on is not nodding so much, because someone on my team who was watching a whole bunch of our videos, she's like, Mandy, you nod too much, because I genuinely agree, right? So that's something I'm working on. What are you personally working on? It doesn't have to be with MPI. It could just be you as a human being.
No, it's patience. It's patience. I mean, I am impatient and high energy just in nature. I purposefully don't drink caffeine for the most part. On occasion I will, because I have too much energy and it makes me go nuts. And I think because of that energy level, I've got to work on my patience. And I mean, that's not, dude, this has been like New Year's resolution 3 years in a row, and I'm still working on it. And everybody in this house will tell you, you need to be more patient, because I do expect, and again, it kind of comes with my upbringing, but this is a fast-paced world, and I don't necessarily have patience for taking time. But sometimes I've got to realize that being deliberate and taking time needs to happen. So I'm constantly working on being more patient.
We love it.
Deliberation Nation. That's a good thing.
Mhm.
It's good that you recognize it.
Oh,
Some
for
people
sure.
can't recognize it. The first step is to recognize it.
I'm also told in this house, I'm reminded of it pretty often.
Well, you've got your truth serum. That's good. That's good.
I feel your pain, Drew. I feel your pain. Well, just thank you for taking time. I know you're getting ready to travel, and it's the holiday week, but we really appreciate you sharing both your insight on our industry as well as your personal philosophy. I love working with you. I'm so excited for WC Louisville. That's going to be fun, and we're glad to hear from you. We want to hear from you more, and it's just been a pleasure. So thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for being like an ambassador to our industry and speaking and sharing the positivity, as you mentioned.
Yes, sir. I'm really glad that you guys invited me on this. Enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, same, Monty. You know how much I enjoy working with you. So we had a great time at WEC last year. We'll do the same thing here in Louisville, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of other things that we've got going. And Mandy, it's been great talking to you as well. I enjoyed working with you on this.
Absolutely.
So great talking to you. However we can support you and your endeavors, please let us know. We'll continue to work together.
You betcha. You betcha.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll put you in the green room, and then we'll get with Mandy and I to close it out. Mandy, another show in the books. Definitely for you. Since we're celebrating Thanksgiving, I'm just thankful for you for a couple of reasons. First of all, I really want to say thank you for pushing me to do different things and to just expand our show. Thank you for pushing me with terms of my sales activities also, and just continue to check on me as I go through very hectic times.
That's so nice of Monty. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I'm grateful for you.
Okay.
I am grateful for your endless knowledge nuggets on technology and just the general production of this show and teaching me words I do not know, teaching about equipment that I do not know, and just your friendship. I think we started this as just two nerds that want to do a live stream, and I think you've become my friend. I don't know if I've become yours, but
Yes,
I think
you're
we've
my
become
friend
good
too.
friends, and I appreciate you. So just that's one extra thing I'll be grateful for this year.
Awesome. And who do we have to look forward to next week?
All right. We have Dan Jones, who is the general manager of Gravity Productions. And I love this guy because he has been in the AV production business for more than 20 years. He's seen it all. And so he's going to talk with us a lot about how do we make our meetings better? What are some things that we can continue doing that, we should keep doing? We don't have to just scrap everything and try something new. And he's been an entrepreneur and a business owner for a long time. So I'm excited to have him next week.
All right. Can't wait to hear him. Everyone, have a safe holiday. We'll see you next Monday, 4 p.m. on the East, 1 p.m. on the West. Thanks again to our guest today, Drew. And awesome show. We'll take care, everyone.
Happy Turkey Day. Gobble, gobble.